This is New England Soccer Weekly with Tom Quinlan, Nick Giuliano, and Mike DeSilva on 790 The Score.
Time is ticking, boys and girls. The 2023 season, is it bleak? Is it over? Or did Chicago the other night give you a little bit of hope? Are you coming in here glass half full today? How you feeling? How you feeling? Here's what I want to do to start the show. Mike and Nick, guys, how are you?
Thank you. Hello.
Recording on Thursday. Don't know when you'll be watching this yet, either today or Friday.
We'll figure it out. You'll be watching it before the game against Charlotte this Saturday night, 7:30 at Gillette Stadium. You're back home because, boy, could you use a home game right now, because this team is in desperate need for a win. Make the pitch why I should believe in this team for the rest of 2023.
Well, I knew this was going to be looking at me first. It's becoming more difficult to, and off the air yesterday, Nick and I had a little conversation about this. I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet, but it is becoming more difficult. You don't really love what you're seeing right now. These games that really should have been easier, or at least you should have gotten more points from them. You didn't. But here is where I will try to flip it. This isn't what I'm saying is going to happen. This is me trying to stay positive about it. Is I think that potentially this could be a team that likes to play up to their competition as opposed to down to their competition. I don't like to usually fall into those tropes, if you will. But I do.
Ooh,
hey, listen.
good word.
Once in a while.
I think it makes sense.
I think it does too. If it doesn't, whatever. A lot of
good.
things.
Trope is good.
Yeah. I'm hoping that this is a team that says, well, we didn't get it done against the teams that we should have trounced, but maybe they add a little extra fire, because from here on out, I'm looking at the rest of the season as if the playoffs have already begun. I think you pretty much, to have any type of confidence going into the playoffs, you need to win all of, if not, the majority of the games you have for the remainder of the season. So I'm hoping that the fire has been lit. This is a team playing as if they're in the playoffs today. I know they were officially in them, but I'm talking about as if they have begun today and they're in the playoffs playing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for.
You're in the playoffs now because DC United,
right? On a technicality.
You were going to get in anyway, and that's where I want to start. Is that what happened last season?
True.
Okay, so then you build on that, and as a player, you check that off. Now, your objective when you start the season is to make the playoffs, because when you make the playoffs, that's when you have a chance to win a cup. So that is done. Have they played well in the last 5 games? You ask anyone in the locker room, I do this all the time, they would say no. Yeah. You can see it, we can see it, they can see it. But I think, and we'll go through this throughout the game, throughout the show today, that they do have a good opportunity, and I actually like the way that this schedule is set up for them to see what they're going to do going into the playoffs. You're going to know at the end of this regular season.
This is a good team.
You're going to know. They're going to know. We're going to know how they are.
But you're not making the case for me for why I should believe. Why should I believe in this team that they're going to make any type of playoff run? You made your case.
I just told you.
Just because they checked out, just because they're in the playoffs?
What I just said is my answer. My answer is we'll see at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, but he's saying the playoffs start now.
So we're kind of saying the same thing, Tom.
Not necessarily.
In a way.
What do you mean?
Going into the playoffs, Tom is just curious as to what makes you so.
So what's your angle?
Because they're in the playoffs because of what they've done before July.
You're setting this up for some reason, so go ahead. What's your angle?
There is no setting up. My question going forward over the next, because like you said, the last 5 weeks haven't been good, and the last 5 weeks have shown you that this team is probably coming apart at the seams, on and off the field, and it's more than just the Bruce thing. Did anybody see Gustavo Bo's post? What is he talking about? This goes back to when I said, okay, when Noel Buck showed up in a Revs locker room with an England jersey on, I go, oh, this is like a different type of mentality in this locker room. Now Gustavo Bo, who's been a very mild-mannered guy, is all of a sudden coming out and making it seem like nobody believes in him anymore, which, I mean, from a fan perspective this year, you kind of already knew that, but it seems like there's some in-house stuff that
maybe
might be
you saw
happening.
your monologue a few weeks ago.
Maybe. But that was more, I don't know if that was necessarily directed at him, more so than just like the entire team, which is, I think the entire team is down right now. yeah, I don't know if I have a real reason to believe for the rest of 2023. It's not that I don't believe in this group of guys, but is this group of guys engaged enough with this coaching staff to push through and try to make an MLS Cup run? What over the last 5 weeks has shown you, because I've given my takes over the last, and everybody thinks I'm crazy, so I'm asking everybody else, what over the last 5 weeks has shown you that this team is capable of hanging with a Columbus, hanging with a Philadelphia who's getting hot?
That's what I mean. They're going to show you. That's my point, is they're about to show you.
I think they have to. They have to show you.
One way or another, they're about to show you with those teams you just laid out.
But as, you know, teams that you should be beating.
But that's over.
That plays a big factor into what's coming up, because why should I expect it to get better? I don't know if I necessarily agree with what you're saying about, you know, they play up to their competition. Like, at least through one of these games, between Austin, between Minnesota, between...
I'm saying they need to, I'm hoping that they play up to their competition. The point I'm trying to make is I'm not seeing these last few weeks, you know, you try to give them benefit of the doubt. They're overcoming some off the field stuff happening in the front office. They lose their coach.
Injuries.
Because it's more than just off the field stuff. It's like, it's the story. It's the story. If Bruce was here, right? And again, Bruce could have done something horrifically wrong. Nobody's denying that. But because there's a lack of transparency.
Talking about on the field, talking about soccer,
sure,
strictly here.
If you had him here, do you lose? How many of those games do you think go from ties to wins? Let's be honest. It comes down to game management, and there's questionable things happening. The stuff that's happening on social media, and now the Noel Buck thing, to me, is standing out a little bit more because there's continuing to be more things, more distractions happening that maybe wouldn't happen if Bruce was here. And I guess that's what's leading to some of the on-field play too. Because the beginning of the season, we really gave them credit for being what they were in 2021, which was a team that was never out of a game. Right, it felt like no matter what, they were going to find a way to win, and they went on to have a historic season.
I just want to be fair. It's not like they lost 5 games in a row. I know that the performance hasn't been up to par.
Yeah,
but it's not like.
I mean, but look how it's killed you in the standings. Like, you don't have a home game right now.
You played a team that hasn't won a game since the end of July.
You don't have home field advantage. Excuse me. You don't have home field advantage in the playoffs. Like,
right.
Your position in the standings matter, especially like I know we said. The argument of supporter shield or being overrated, whatever. I think at the end of the day, to have 2 games, especially in a 3-game series in 2023, it's not one and done anymore. So the fact that you have dropped results, it's not just like, it's like a couple of ties. At least they're staying in games. No, you needed to win those games against Minnesota. You needed to beat Colorado. You needed to beat Chicago, who did not have Shaqiri last week. Like, this is where
on the veins right there.
This is where I say, give me something to believe.
I started my statement earlier by saying
torched by 20-year-old Brian Gutierrez last week.
It's becoming harder and harder to defend. It's becoming harder and harder to defend.
Yeah.
And I hope the people listening out there are not still betting on this team. And if you are just throwing money away. Am I talking to you, Tom? Or
yes, you're talking.
Damn
to
it!
Actually, the way that you started, I thought you were talking about you too.
I haven't. No, hell no.
I thought there is no way after you're getting embarrassed in Colorado last week, do you allow that start? You started out pretty good against Chicago.
This is where the anger is because you haven't hit those bets, or not?
No, the anger comes from because of what this team has become. Because you were the class of MLS. You were the class of the Eastern Conference. And now you're a joke and a laughing stock again. Because of games that you should be finishing that you're not finishing right now. Between game management, between the off-the-field chaos, and I swear to God, I refuse to believe the George A. Petrovic story. I don't care what Taylor Twellman or any of you other people out there say. All of this has led you to a position where you're lucky, in my opinion, to get out of the first round of the playoffs at this point. Yeah, you're in, but how far are you really going to get with this setup right now? It is frustrating because guess what? They know, guys like Carlos Hill know, the end of the cycle is coming. This window for you to win doesn't last forever. How long do you think this goes on for? How much longer do you think Carlos is going to put up with this after this season? You don't have Gustavo here probably anymore after this, especially with the way he's talking on social media. It doesn't seem like he's hanging around for much longer.
It didn't seem like he was coming back regardless.
Fair enough.
If regardless of whatever happened.
And everybody kind of was resigned to the fact that he wasn't a designated player anymore anyways.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's not a good reflection of what he started out and how great and like where it's finishing, because it really did feel like Gustavo loved it here. And now it doesn't seem like he loves it here the same way anymore. So it's frustrating because
that is true. Because if you go back a few months when we broke this team down and they were playing at the height of the season, when Heel, Veroni, and Bo were on the field, to me, they looked at their best. It was their best offensive production. It was their best shaping. Everybody else was kind of filling in, and then Bo went down, and then the whole coaching
and we know
situation happened, and then now we're sitting in a different in September going into October. It's obviously much different. June, July,
and Vrioni is a much different player when the three of them are on the field together.
Absolutely,
that's just the way it is. He's been.
Although, again,
he's
not as bad as people on social media are making him. When you look at the 2 goals that happened, he was involved in both of those goals against Chicago. The game before, he had multiple opportunities where he was open that he was missed in the box. So has he been the best productive forward that they brought in here in MLS history? Absolutely not. You would absolutely need more goals from somebody getting that money, getting that position.
And if he's not getting it started now, when do you expect him to get it going?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He needs the 3 of them on the field together.
Yes,
Bo needs to be on the field. Being on the field makes Vrioni better. It becomes a lot more challenging for him because he is not as good as Bo is creating his own chances. He is somebody that works better off of another striker or another person to kind of open up those passing lanes for him to make those diagonal runs.
And by the way, when you watch him in those situations you're exactly putting out there, he is in the exact spot that he's supposed to be the entire time. And again, I know people don't love to hear that, but that is talent. That is you can't teach that. That is something that he innately does very well.
Sure, but he's not doing it enough where he's producing for you on the field with 5 games to go.
Because of the personnel and the formation. And again, it's an excuse, but that's the answer.
But he's got to be able to adapt to that, and that's where he
has
hasn't
adapted. Time.
It's been an up and down.
How much more time does he need?
I'm saying it's getting to that point where
But he's been playing consistently on the back half of the end of the summer, correct? He's been here for over a year now. He's had Carlos out there with him. He's had Chankalai out there with him for a couple of games now. He's had Nacho out there.
Do you think that one spot for him up top is the right way to go?
Do I think he should be playing as a lone striker?
Yes.
No, but
okay, so that's the issue, in my opinion.
Okay, but you're not saying that. You're just saying...
That's exactly what I just said.
He said he works better with the Gustavo Bo in there.
I just said that.
But it depended, like, Gustavo wasn't always playing as like a second striker.
No, he wasn't. But it's
having that formation.
Even if he was out on the wing, it's more about having another
somebody that can open it up for him. They don't have anybody out there that can open up the game.
Put Bobby Wood out there. By the way,
I don't understand. I don't know why Bob's not starting.
That player you just said too. I would put Chekalai up there. I think he absolutely could fill that.
I mean,
we
forget at times the how when this team was flourishing, right? It was when you had most of your team healthy. Obviously, you lost Barrero extremely early. Kessler went down. And it's just so frustrating to think about what this team could have been.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to think about what this team could have been if you don't lose.
Oh, and Bo.
Bo has been banged up. But again, it's Bo being hurt is
just
been
like
par
for
the course at this point.
Like,
it's just kind of what you expect. No disrespect to him. Unfortunately, it's just the way it's been.
But wouldn't you want to get him back healthy now?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, you have. There's no time left. You need him back now, and if you're going to make a push, you need to believe that every game from here on out for the rest of the season, all the way to the MLS Cup, is must win. I think it's now, Tom. Your favorite phrase. It becomes must win.
It was must win last week.
It is potential for them to fall all the way down to like the last seed. Correct.
It would need to be a crazy
need to be
fall.
some type of fall. Okay.
But like, I mean, you could fall to 7th. I mean, Montreal's got 12.
That's a logjam there in the middle.
You still have a game in hand.
But at the end of the day,
that's a logjam.
Everybody's bunched.
Yeah,
everybody's bunched, but it's not helping you that you continue to drop results. It goes back to you close out Austin, you close out Minnesota, so that's 4 extra points right there. That puts you at 53 points, and you're still comfortably in second. And again,
that's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
And when you look at the performances in these games, there's nothing that's saying to
Colorado,
you, okay, they're correcting
Chicago.
these issues.
Right. But Tom, I mean, it goes back to when you said the Colorado game didn't matter. I mean, those are 3 points.
But again,
he didn't say it. He screamed it.
It doesn't matter in comparison to what's happening off the field with Bruce. The franchise is blown up. The franchise you knew for the last 4 years is dead. Whether or not they can salvage this thing for 2023 is a long shot. But it might happen. I don't know. Eric Krakauer that we had on last week said that he believes in this New England Revolution team
I'd love
right
to
now.
talk to him after that game last week. I'd love to see where he stands after that.
Pablo Maurer says that this is a galvanizing moment he would think this is a galvanizing moment for the New England Revolution.
That's kind of what I said to start this show as well. Like
I'm just referencing other people that believe in this team still.
Yeah, but you went at me when I said that.
Because I think it's ridiculous.
Okay, well,
that's
your opinion.
Because I think yes, this is a strong-minded locker room, but. And we got to wrap up here because we have Jaime Macias coming on.
You have to wait.
Come back to this.
You have to see what's going to happen. You can't just throw everything out like you did to start the show because they tied a game again in Chicago.
When you see the results against teams that are worse than you, it's kind of hard to believe that it's going to get better when you're playing against teams that are on the same level or maybe even better than you. Jaime Macias from Apple TV, or it's from MLS on Apple TV up next. Silly me, by the way.
Oh.
We have a new Twitter page.
Yes, we do.
So we got to tell people where to go.
Yeah, at NE Soccer Weekly. I just figured it's an easier hub to share all of our content. We do the podcast. We have the YouTube channel, all different ways. And, we'll be sharing any updates, retweeting stuff, and having conversations there. But, yeah, go follow on Twitter and the Instagram. The Instagram is not up yet, but it will follow at NE Soccer Weekly.
At NE Soccer Weekly on Twitter. Follow
or
it
X,
there.
Or whatever it is these days,
Elon probably still calls it Twitter.
True. Well, he does.
Jaime Macias is going to be on the call on the Spanish broadcast this weekend when the New England Revolution host Charlotte FC at Gillette Stadium. Jaime, welcome to Providence. You got Mike, Nick, and Tom here. How are you?
How you doing, guys? Pleasure, as always, talking about soccer.
Yeah, happy to have you on the show here today. So the question that I brought up to the guys beforehand, and I'd like to bring it up to you here, why should I believe in the New England Revolution at this point? We've gone over the last 5 performances. You haven't won a game since the New York Red Bulls performance on August 23rd, so well over a month now. You have a bunch of draws in there. A couple of them you could argue should be losses for the New England Revolution. I'm kind of out on this team right now. Do you think I'm wrong about that?
I think that things are not looking in the same way they looked before Leagues Cup, but I think that today they are looking way better than what we have seen during September. First of all, you are going to get a new goalkeeper on goal, and I think that that's very important. We saw how the team struggled at the beginning of last season when Turner was injured, and how the team suddenly improved with Petrovic back on goal. I think Baklic is going to be there sooner or later, so that's going to change tremendously. And now that the situation on who is the coach of the team, and I think that the assistant coach that he had signed are very experienced coaches, and that can help him also with managing the group. I think that things are going to change. I think that New England did one of the best summer windows. I think that they didn't sign that much players, but the names they signed are key. Other teams also do it. So that's like another debate to rank who did the best summer, right? But I think that New England is on top of those teams. And now is when things start to matter.
Do you feel like at this point now, this final stretch of the season, the Revolution will be playing as if like the playoffs have already begun? These are must-win games to finish the season, to head into playoffs with some type of momentum?
Yeah, I think so. New England is the only unbeaten team at home. So Gillette Stadium had been a strong, if not the strongest, stadium on that matter on the whole season for MLS. So that's gonna count. And you have some. Let's put it this way: when you see the squad, yes, there is a lot of talent by it, but there is also a lot of leadership, players that have been in a lot of battles and know how to manage these battles. There is a lot of experience from guys that have been in a lot of battles outside of MLS. And then you have young, hunger players that usually those players, when they are not surrounded by this kind of experienced leaders, they don't perform. And I think that New England have those strong leaders to guide those young players for the team to perform. So, when you get to playoff or to this type of end of the season games, the first thing is not to be overwhelmed by the situation and by the expectation. And I think that's something that is not going to happen to this team. And then we
You don't
can
think
talk
they're
about.
overwhelmed by the situation at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that well, I'm talking about the situation of needing to win games and needing to perform and needing to win. I don't think they are overwhelmed by that situation because they are not getting there as the favorites. I think
Yeah,
that
but
they
all of it
they
though.
have
I mean, you don't have your head coach in there that knows how to win late in the season. You've got, and like you said, these are must-win games. It's just it seems like it's a lot that they've had to handle in the last month here. It seems like any team would collapse under this pressure.
Yes, but I think that the worst part of that situation already passed, right? I think that there was a month where things were uncertain, and now things are certain. You don't have the head coach that is a winning record, a record winner coach in MLS. But now you know who is your head coach, and you know what's the path going forward, right? So when you are through so much uncertainty, like things to be certain, better or worse than what they were before, it's a step forward.
What do you think Gustavo Bo's impact is going to be on this team here on out for the rest of this season? Obviously the future beyond this season is uncertain with him. He's been battling some injuries. He's been seen at training this week. What do you think his impact is going to be, not only just on the field, but as a veteran leader in the locker room as well?
Look, I think that his availability is going to be key, right? I think that he is a kind of leader that speaks on the field, right? And every captain will tell you that, and I know he's not the captain, but like every kind of like that veteran leader will tell you that one thing is to lead a team on the field, another is to lead it on outside of the field, right? You can say things, you can be there, you can talk to players, but it's kind of frustrating for those leaders that are used to be on the field, not be able to be there. So I don't know how big an impact he can have if he's not on the field. If he's on the field, for sure he's going to be a key player. But probably we're seeing the best part of the season for Brioni, and I think that's kind of connected with the opportunity that Gustavo not being available. He have some more freedom on terms of not wasting energy fighting for a starting spot, just knowing you are going to play and be able to perform.
You talked about the captain, Carlos Gil, obviously having another MVP-like season. So what has your thoughts been on him in his 2023 campaign with all that's going on and his ability to still continue to play up week in and week out?
He received the comeback award, I think it was 2 years ago.
MVP.
And MVP, sorry, and MVP. Yeah, no, but he didn't receive you're right. He didn't receive the comeback award, but he was off for a couple of no, sorry, I'm confusing with somebody else. But what I mean is like his impact on the New England game since the last couple of years had been amazing, and we knew he was a great player. We didn't have a doubt about that. And how the New England players have managed during this last month had been incredible, because nothing outside what the players could not have managed better the situation in terms of speaking more than what they need, or it was like a situation that was managed inside, and they absolutely nailed it on how they behave during this situation. And as I was saying with being Gil, the captain, and being available, he can do that part of talking on the field, moving the team around, guiding the new players. So I think that he's probably, together with the two Argentina number 10s, Acosta and Messi, probably the guy that has the most impacts on who is playing around him.
By the way, he's right.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of missed this. Carlos won comeback player of the year 2021.
You didn't know that?
Oh, shut up. I'm not in the
2021,
No, so apologies for us correcting you because it was like, wait a minute, Carlos winning comeback player of the year. He won. I thought he won MVP.
My guy
then.
Jaime, yeah.
Yeah, no. Listen, Jaime's been doing this since he was what, 20? I read.
I started calling motorsport when I was 15, but yeah.
15, you started calling motorsports.
Yeah, but
so
in a
you
regular
like F1
basis.
and everything.
My first broadcast was a Formula One race, Malaysia Grand Prix 2004, when I was 15.
So you're 15 years old, okay? And
Yeah.
where are you living? You're Ecuadorian, so you're living in Ecuador at the time?
Yeah, I think there was like a confusion because my father and myself were big Formula One guys, right?
Right.
So at that time I was racing karts and like, the motorsport community is very small and like they need a replacement for the broadcast. And they thought they were calling my dad because my dad and myself were both called Jaime Macias. So they called me and I just show up like a Sunday morning, like, hi. And like, it was too late. It was either a single boys broadcast or a broadcast with myself. Like I thought I did a great job, but every time I saw the video, because I have it like in my archive, I say, how did they put me on air? Right?
That's a great TV show.
That's your old protege, clearly.
This is an act like you've been there before moment. You just show up,
yeah,
and you
what's up?
just
You guys
get in
call
there,
me?
and that's
Call
it.
my name?
It's like the Little Rascals, right? You throw each other on top of each other's shoulders.
Go over it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you started F1, and then when did you break out and start working your way into soccer more?
So, like, my goal, like when I was a little kid, I really want to be a motorsport broadcaster, right? But it always was like, okay, this is gonna be like a side gig or a hobby because how I'm gonna do a living in Ecuador broadcasting motorsport, right? Motorsport is like not big there. But at the same time, I was playing soccer. I was playing in the youth system of MLEG, which is one of the biggest teams in Ecuador. Which Alexis Lala played there and Joe McMoore played there. They were loaned by New England at that time to play in Ecuador. So when I decided to stop playing around 20, when I was in the first team, I figured out there was not like a higher level. I was the third choice goalkeeper on the first squad, but I figured out like there's no career forward in soccer. Like the logical transition was soccer broadcasting, but it was like a something that I never connected on my mind because I was gonna go all the way professional, like I was not thinking on using soccer for something else than just do a career of playing. So I basically stopped, and the next week I was in the same training ground, but doing like the sideline reporting for my ex-players, my ex-teammates.
That must have been a funny little experience, is going from being teammates with them on the field to now covering them off the field. That's a cool transition.
Especially for them.
They were like, you're not gonna put any of my secrets out there or anything, huh? Stuff we say in the locker
or
room.
like you just be really critical and you're like, I thought we were friends.
Way,
what happened, man? What happened?
By the way, if you want to read Jaime's book, The Third Choice Goalkeeper was released in 2021. It's available now on Amazon, correct?
Yes. It's in Spanish, but it's kind of third choice is it's an interesting position, right? I think that everything that happened after was because I was third choice. You see everything from the inside, but because you are not under the pressure of fighting for a position, being started or being the backup, right? Yeah. You can absorb a lot of things that are around a team and develop your analytic capability. So I'm 100% sure that everything that happened afterwards was because of me being in that lucky position.
Well, listen, everybody should check out your book. You've got a great story. I'll tell you what, that was it's really cool. 15 years old and you show up, knock, knock, knock. I'm here to call the
That's hilarious.
F1.
That's going to inspire some kids.
That's a great story.
Some teenage kids to just like look up, careers that they want with people who have the same name as them and just show up for work.
Exactly.
Be like, oh, I thought this was me.
just change your name. Just show up with like,
It was meant to be.
It was just meant to be, but that's amazing. What's your take on the rise of F1 and pretty much globally? I know Netflix has a lot to do with it, but I mean, all the stars are coming out to Miami and all the different races that have been happening here in the States.
Formula One has, and motorsports, but Formula One is like the big global thing. They have an advantage that none other sport have, is that all the participants are playing at the same time together, right? We have like an NFL weekend or a tennis open, right? But not everybody's playing at the same time. They're playing against two of them, right? Two teams that are playing each other. So the possibility of Formula One of having everybody at the same time and all the content you can create around that venue, because everybody is there for 3 days. So all the storylines are happening in the same perimeter. They exploded like tremendously. Like,
A lot of drama.
yeah, a lot of drama, but it's drama that you can catch because everybody's there. Like let's talk about like an NFL team, right? Yeah, they're training every day together, but they're not interacting with the rivals, with the opponents, right?
Right.
And it's and in soccer also, like you can record the whole week of training, but not every day something happened, right? In Formula One, because everybody's there during 3 days, something is happening. They are interacting against their opponents, not only on track but on the paddock. So I think that how they exploded that environment through the amount of contact they did, it's amazing, and they took advantage of that. None other sport had that opportunity of having everybody at the same time, in the same place.
Jaime, give your Twitter so people can follow you.
Jaime F. Macias at well, no, the other way around. At Jaime F. Macias.
There you go. Jaime, good luck.
Europa.
You're going to be on the broadcast this weekend. Revs in Charlotte, 7:30. We're going to be on the Spanish broadcast this weekend for Revs in Charlotte, 7:30 from Gillette Stadium. MLS on Apple TV. Jaime, it's been a pleasure. We appreciate the time today, bud.
No, a pleasure. Pleasure is mine, guys. And going back to Carlos Hill, winning Player of the Year, winning the comeback of the year.
Yep.
That's kind of what the point I was doing. He had been basically out. Nobody expected him to come back as strong as he come and stay at that level. And that's called resilience. And if you have a guy that have done it and he's your captain, well, that's what you're expected to do as his teammate.
But does he have the right motivating people around him, or does he not need any motivation? I
think
Bruce
that
is
when
a player motivator, right? You know, and I think a lot of people talk about how they feed off that Bruce energy. Is he going to feed off the energy of a Clint Piet the same way?
Well, he needs to become the motivator.
Yeah.
You're the captain, and you are the one that the last one who needs a motivator.
Correct.
But I think that's your point, though, is that 2 years ago he became that, so he has the ability to do that in this moment.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, a lot of players need motivators, but if you're the captain, you gotta be the motivator. Like being the captain, it's stepping on the role that the rest of the squad need from you. Sometimes you are over motivated and say, guys, hey, calm down. Too much hype. We need to get step forward. So now we're gonna see Carlos as the leader and the motivator of the team. We know he's a great player.
You're right. You almost need to at this point, because, like you said, like there's nobody else. Like if you need somebody to believe in right now, it's Carlos.
And it's a guy you very easily can believe
Absolutely.
in. Like,
he has the resume to do just that.
He plays it well, but he's not. Carlos is never. In the times that we've seen Carlos be the vocal guy, you kind of like raise your eyebrows. This is the moment where he needs to have his Tom Brady moment right now. I know people hate drawing comparisons, but to make it easy for people, he needs to have his Tom Brady moment or his Tim Thomas 2011 moment.
Well, and Jaime said this as well. I agree with all that, but he also has a few players on this roster that will help him in that moment too. A Matt Polster and Andrew Farrell. There's veteran guys that have.
I think Romney is an underrated leader of this team too. He's just a veteran guy that goes out there and gets it done. You know, other squads may have crumbled, but I think those players that we just mentioned, that you mentioned, Jaime, have kept this group together up to this point through all of this.
No, and I think like Ian Harkes, like the where he had been around and the experience he has, he can be important in that team. Mark Anthony Kaye, look, all the places he's been, he's coming from playing a World Cup. So I think that there is a good. A big leadership in that team, and things can look positive in that matter.
Can I get your thoughts on one more player that they brought in Tomas Chocolai, who has obviously stepped up and played very well since he's been here, actually gotten better, in my opinion, week to week, which is what you'll love to see. What have you known about him, and how do you think he's going to fit in with this squad?
Look, at the beginning, I was not sure because by the time he was in Racing, before Gago, that is, at that time I was calling Copa Libertadores, that Racing team, he played more in the inside. He was more a positional player. He was not doing these big runs that we have seen him doing in the last couple of games. So I really was like, where is he going to fit, right? Because he's not a 10. He was not playing as a 10, but he was not playing on the wing also. And now he's giving all the flank for him to explore. And I think that's something that probably I didn't saw before because of the style the team he was playing and what he needs from the coach, and he's doing it tremendously. My only concern in New England, like on terms of players, is not having a replacement for Brandon Bai, like a natural replacement from Brandon Bai, and like, you know, Farrell played there long time ago, and he knows the position, but he's not gonna be doing those deep dives that you need on a team that plays with that number 10.
You know,
but you do have Polster there who has played, you know, some right back in his time, especially when he was in Scotland and stuff. So, I mean, I know it's not a perfect solution.
Yeah, I think but Polster is just such an important player in the middle of that field.
I agree with that,
in front of the
and
center
I think
backs.
you saw that this weekend with Mark Anthony Case.
And that was a lot to ask of him with the new formation that they kind of played the last few weeks. You did see his side of the field exposed, and you can't really go at him for that.
There's a guy playing out of position
absolutely.
at this point in his
out
career.
of position in a new formation that they haven't played all year. It was an interesting move.
All right, Jaime, thank you so much for the time, sir. We appreciate it.
Jaime, we got to have you back on.
Absolutely.
Sorry, guys, for taking so.
No, please. Wait, whoa, time out. You're the talent.
Jaime,
you're working for Apple.
Our show's an hour, bro. You can stay on as long as you want.
Want to see my whiteboard?
Wait, what?
Yeah. He's got a whiteboard. He's got notes.
Anytime you need me, guys, I'm happy to.
We got to have you back in the future for sure.
Perfect.
Jaime, thank you, brother. Best of luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Jaime was great.
That's our guy.
That's
great.
our guy.
Awesome.
That's our guy.
Love him.
Love that.
All right. So before
Ben
we
1,000 with Apple personalities. It's been a great
this has
season.
been great all year.
Great season.
Listen,
we've had pretty much everybody on. I think
we've had a lot.
Sasha
of the roster.
Bradley, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, we're gonna get.
We got to get Sasha on.
I like Sasha a lot.
Yeah,
great.
They have a great staff, but like, shout out to MLS Season Pass and Apple TV because they nailed it with everybody they've hired.
Yeah.
They're knowledgeable, they're personable, they're friendly, they're super cordial. Like, I know there's some stuff off the air that we don't show on YouTube that it's just like great banter back and forth. It's awesome.
It's like an extra show that happens that people don't see on like
it is.
basis.
It's great.
So
maybe bonus content at the end of the season. We'll see.
bonus content.
Yeah,
maybe
it
bonus
exists.
There are things that do exist. Anger.
Oh, God, that bonus content. We'll have to put a not safe for work up for that.
Yeah. So okay. Last couple of weeks, people like twisting my words out of context.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Okay?
Same.
This has been so I want to lay everything out here today. So when we go forward, everybody is on the same page. And then when people are confused with what I say, we reference back to this video.
So everyone else is
September 28th.
Everyone else is confused at what you say, but
no,
not.
we're compartmentalizing everything into one segment. So moving forward, everybody knows where at least I stand with what needs to come next. Because I'm resigned that this season's over. I could care less about 2023. I'm on to 2024 mentally, but
that's fine.
Unless they prove me wrong over the next couple of weeks.
I think it's fine. It's okay to have differing opinions, and I think that's
all it is.
Tommy's. This is nice. You've evolved very quickly.
We've evolved.
Yeah, you too.
I realized
I can't even believe I was sitting here a week ago with
the
you.
last 2 weeks have been very contentious, and
Tom sent out a tweet saying that he was going to not be as angry because he's been told that he's been angry, and he started the first 5 minutes screaming and
literally
breaking his
veins
computer.
pop out his forehead.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But I am in agreement. Okay, I want to call a truce to all of my friends out there in the Twitter world, and also I feel like maybe Tom, at the end of the season, we need to go over to that Aaron Rodgers retreat where he just lived in like a treehouse with no lights.
You
for like
guys
2 days.
doing that this weekend. Okay.
Well, there you
I'm
go.
going back to New York.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not
I'll
going
do
to-
mine
I'm not going
next
to be at
month.
Gillette this weekend. Sorry. So yes, I'm kind of resigned that this season is over. Unless they prove me wrong over the next couple of weeks here and they put up spectacular performances. But I don't see it happening.
I don't know about spectacular, but to me, again,
I need spectacular home performances.
We're not afraid to admit when we're wrong on this
which
show.
is fine. This is a show, but just to reiterate, I still like to throw the season out. I think is crazy. It obviously hasn't been where you want it to be the last month and a half, but this is a team with the pieces in place and a piece that they could hopefully be getting back that has the ability to prove to people like you over the next 5 games that they have what it takes to make a run on the playoffs. I still think that that's valid.
Okay.
And I'm literally in the middle. I'm not ready to throw it out. I'm not ready to say that this is an MLS Cup contending team. It's becoming more difficult. I think you have to see a team that believes the playoff starts today.
If I'm a player in that locker room, I'm excited about this opportunity. This is because of a show just like this. You're hearing all this stuff.
There's some nerves to it, though.
All of the things that happened off the field. You obviously have, as a group, have not played well in over a month. You're going into a stretch of games that are very difficult to end the season. This is when you step up as a player. I would be so excited right now.
Or some guys might be checked out. It's okay to say some guys might be checked out.
I guess you can say whatever you want.
But show me. You're not showing me where these guys are not checked out.
I'm just giving you my opinion for me.
I don't
understand that,
but
but
I don't think checked out. I don't think checked out is the correct.
I don't either.
I think we got to give them a little bit more than that. I think maybe they're playing with a little bit of nervous energy. I think that they're not checked out like they're saying, I don't care about this season anymore. I don't think that's fair to say. I do think that they're kind of losing their way in regards to how they're playing on the field. They're playing with a little bit too much angst. It's kind of like the jitters, right? They got to get past that. If they come into this game this weekend and they find their form, and I've been saying this for the last few weeks, so I know it's getting a little repetitive, but I think if this team, they can still find their form but I think it's becoming more difficult to believe that it will happen.
What an opportunity.
So I'm right in the middle.
What an opportunity with who's left, though. If you want a last stretch run going into the playoffs,
that's why I say the playoffs.
This is what you want.
This is the playoffs.
This is why I think it's crazy
in the
to take
playoffs
that to just throw everything out right now because of what's happened for the last 5 weeks. I think you have to see.
Nine weeks.
Stand on it. Listen. I want you to be able to use this as a clip in 2 weeks.
Okay.
9 weeks.
3 weeks. Whatever.
What's happened over the last 2 months?
No, I'm saying like in 3 weeks from now or a month from now, I want you to be able to use that right there, saying, "Hey, I called it." Well, actually, you've been saying it for like 2 or 3 weeks.
I would say, maybe a couple more months than that. Yeah.
So we'll see. You got Charlotte, Columbus, Orlando, Nashville,
This is
Philadelphia.
Step up and prove it.
Every game's a playoff game
Step
from
up
here
and
on
prove
out.
it.
But let's just say 2023 is over. And for what it's worth, it would be crazy. This is where I would go against Bolello. It would be nuts if Brian Bolello is not interviewing people to take over right now. There's no guarantee that Kurt Analfo is the next guy. There should be no guarantee that Kurt Analfo is the next guy. I think if he just is handed that job without any real proven success, then I can see where people are going to be PO'd with Bolello. But the future lies in his hands. And I think this has to be a very narrow search for what comes next, because it's not going to be Clint. I just can't see it being Clint. I hope to God it's not Tob. Not a slam on you, Tob, but there is something very specific that this team needs.
Here we go.
Right now.
Whiteboard Tommy.
And it's all led up to this.
This is
It's
great.
this is
Decent handwriting, not the best, but not the worst.
I've looked forward
Somewhere
to
in
doing
between.
this for a while.
Very good.
This might look like a Fox News segment to some people,
Oh boy.
but
Not politics.
This is a one
Stick
shot,
to
right?
sports.
We're off.
Yeah,
This-
right now. All right, so one shot, Steve. All right.
is the list of things that this organization needs to replace Bruce Arena. Nice tight shot on my stupid mug and this whiteboard.
This is great.
Number one, you need a veteran coach who has won. And if anything that has taught you over the last 5 weeks is that in these performances, you need a coach who understands game management and understands how to close out performances. And
Okay.
I don't think Richie or Clint has proven they can do that.
Okay.
You need a guy who has won. You need a guy who has proven success across the globe and can come in
The
here.
globe.
or at least somewhere in the globe.
I'm not
somewhere
saying
in
that's
the globe.
outlandish.
No.
But I'm saying
somewhere across the globe.
Okay.
You've got to have some sort of proven success where you've won some title.
Okay.
And you have a long lineage of coaching. Okay?
Yes.
This cycle that I've talked about earlier is closing for this team. And they need a coach who can come in here and finish the job, because at some point you will need to blow this thing up and start from scratch again. So a veteran coach needs to see out the rest of this cycle of the New England Revolution. 2, the second most important thing when you're going out and searching for a coach, finding a guy that can appease the crafts. The crafts need to be sold on the next guy. Why? Because they were sold on Bruce and they were willing to spend a lot of money on and off the field. Okay? Not only did you have probably record spending on the Bruce Arena, going out and get guys like Buxa and Chenkalai and Barrero, but think about all the guys that flopped here that probably wouldn't have been here in the past, but you thought would have been pretty good hits. Guys like Christian Mafla. Bruce Arena was able to dig into the pockets of the crafts, and I think part of the reason why they like that goes back to number 1, a veteran coach who has won in the past and can come here and finish the job. So you gotta get somebody that can convince the crafts to spend big and to stay invested in this sport the way they are. Number 3, I think you need a player coach. The way that this locker room has been built from a mentality standpoint is the strongest locker room that I've seen in New England Revolution history since Bruce has gotten here. Consistently, everybody has been on the same page. Consistently, everybody has talked to the media with the same tone. Consistently, everybody was reading out of the same book. You need a guy that can come in here and be that same player coach that kept everything in the locker room, that you didn't have the outbursts from guys like Gustavo Bo like you've had on social media this week. What happens in the house stays in the house. And quite frankly, you're also going to need a guy to convince players to come here and play at Gillette Stadium still. So getting a coach that understands a player's needs and understands a player's mentality is going to be critical. So that's 3. Number 4, scouting. You like Dylan Barrero? You like getting guys like Tomas Chenkalai? You like that, right? Yeah. Petrovic. Why do you think you've done that? Why do you think the Revs have done so much better in bringing in players over the years here since Bruce has gotten here? The scouting network. New England, South America, huh? When you went out there and you've got offices in Brazil and you're bringing back guys like Barrero, Chenkalai. Bo, they kind of knew who he was beforehand, but guess what? You had that scouting network. You cannot lose that. You cannot afford to lose your footprint in South America and Europe, getting young stud players to come here, because you're not getting big-name designated players. You're not going to get the Gareth Bales, the Messis, the Busquets, the Albas, the Ronaldos. Sorry. Damn. But
you never know.
You can get the next big star or guys that people think would be the next big star. Prime example, Adam Buxa. Thank you very much, RC Lens. Scouting, critical. Can't lose it. Got to keep it some way. And last but not least, star coach. That is where it lands on the list.
First 4 time, listen, we've had our back and forths about this.
Was that yours?
I gotta give props where props are due. I think you nailed it. The first 4, no, spot on. You nailed all the things that I think are very important, and you worded it in a very articulate manner. And I think that I agree with all of them. The star coach may have all of those wrapped into it, so I don't necessarily think that it's a big deal.
That's why it's at the bottom of the list.
But like, now let me ask you this:
you already thought about that.
Just to poke the hole in it a little bit, because this is what we do here. What entails a star coach that doesn't include all those things?
Somebody that has the media cachet to walk into a room and suck up all the oxygen in a room.
Okay. I'm trying to think of who that is. Now, a star coach could easily be a former player that has the name but doesn't have some of those things, doesn't have the veteran, ability to win as a coach. Doesn't
But
have
did they win
the
in
scouting
MLS in the
network.
past? Are they a proven winner
Right.
somewhere
so
in the world?
it doesn't. That's the question I was asking. It doesn't have to be a star. I mean, a veteran coach that has won. It could be a player that has won.
Ideally you like a veteran coach who has won, but if the next guy is a big winner,
Let's
like
throw
a Phil
Thierry,
Neville,
like a Thierry Henry, for example.
like a Thierry Henry, who has done fairly well through his coaching time, and Thierry Henry probably has the network that you need to keep the scouts and to reach out
That
to
was
players.
a name that came when you were doing all this. That was a name that came to mind.
Henry, Neville, that's star power. That's names. That's sexy. That's going to keep.
I was going to bring up Phil Neville again too because I did a few weeks ago. Does he fit all of
Yeah,
those criteria?
Fits the criteria. I mean, he hasn't won as a coach
Because
per
that's what
se,
we need to.
but
need
he
to
has
end this.
that pedigree of winning.
You just laid all that out, right?
Yes.
Who is it?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
You just wait. This is the last shot of the day. You just laid all that out. Who is it?
Tom, you were doing
One
so
shot.
good. Don't do it.
We'll see you next week. The Revs play Charlotte FC this weekend, 7:30 at Gillette Stadium. Thank you very much to Jaime Macias.
Yes.
I think you already know. Again, you know the name that I want to use. But
You just laid all this out.
I
We're going to
think-
end the
you know
show
what?
like
Hold
this.
on.
We're going to end the show like this. Who is it?
you know the name I want to use.
Yes, we know the name.
Well, you say it for
You
the
need
social
to get
media.
that type of name, and it's not impossible based on this criteria. I'm not doing it because
You have
I
a new
think
Twitter page you're trying to promote. You can't. I'm trying to set up a clip.
I understand. The clip is there. We already did the clip.
The clip is
Yeah,
you and your Twitter Blue are gonna have to tweet that out because we need a long video for that. Because I think I think you did a good job. I'm being serious. I
Throw
think
that up on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, okay, we can make it a separate clip. This is a little behind the scenes for the YouTube channel, but I think before we wrap, I do think that was a well constructed list that you put together there, and I agree 100%. A very underrated aspect of what Bruce brought to this team, or at least the staff that he put together, was the scouting department. I mean, you go look at some of the international players that he's brought in, and will turn into a profit, with Petrovic being the face of it there. And there's that good old handy Dan. I have a really bad feeling this is going to become a part of the show now.
See you next
week, boys and girls.
Bye.